All right, let's dive into this one. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. This animated short film, based on Charlie Mackesy's book, it won an Oscar.
And a BAFTA.
And a BAFTA. So clearly it's doing something right.
Definitely resonating with folks.
Yeah. So we're going to unpack a review and kind of see what we can learn, what is it about this film that is speaking to so many people, and just to kind of give folks a background, it's about this boy who gets lost in the wilderness and ends up meeting some very interesting companions.
Right. Unlikely friends.
Unlikely friends. A mole.
A fox.
A fox.
And a horse.
A horse. And together they go on this journey and they have these profound conversations about life and love and what it means to belong.
What it means to belong. And it's interesting because, while it won such major awards, it's not your typical hero's journey.
Yeah.
It's not like action-packed adventure.
It's not plot heavy, it's more emotion heavy. Right. It's the emotional journey of these characters, which, you mentioned is very similar to how the book is structured.
Mm-hmm.
And, even watching it, I was struck by every scene feels like a vignette.
It does.
Almost like those pages of the book coming to life.
Yeah.
And it makes me wonder, does a film need a traditional plot to be engaging?
Right.
That's
a key question this film asks us to consider.
Right.
By foregoing that traditional plot structure, the filmmakers are really inviting us to engage with the story on a different level, one that prioritizes emotional depth and introspection.
Yeah.
So it's not about, what happens next,
right,
but rather about the feelings, the thoughts that these characters evoke in us.
I can definitely see that. And it really does make you think about your own life, and your own experiences. And speaking of those evocative characters,
yeah,
let's dive into them a bit. So we have the boy who is innocent and inquisitive. He's constantly asking those big questions about life, the ones that I think we all ponder at some point.
Mm-hmm.
And then there's the mole who is just completely obsessed with cake.
Who isn't?
I mean, let's be real, who isn't? But also has a surprising amount of wisdom.
Yes.
About accepting ourselves, flaws and all.
Yeah, I love that about the mole. And I think it's interesting how each of these characters seem to represent almost like a different facet of the human experience.
Oh, interesting.
So the boy embodies that curiosity and the desire to learn. The mole, our need for comfort and acceptance. Then we have the fox.
Yeah, the fox is interesting because he starts off, he's wary, he's cautious.
Mm-hmm.
You get the sense that he's been hurt before.
Yeah.
Which makes him hesitant to open up.
Right.
And, it made me think about how common it is for people to carry, the weight of past traumas.
Yeah.
And how those experiences can shape our ability to trust.
Absolutely. And that cautious nature of the fox is fascinating because it speaks to this larger conversation we're having as a society around trauma, right? And how we learn to trust again.
Yeah.
And I think the film very subtly depicts this process, showing us that genuine connection requires patience, understanding.
Yeah. It's really powerful how they weave these deeper themes, into the narrative without being heavy-handed.
Mm-hmm.
And then, of course, we have the horse.
The horse, regal, philosophical, almost like a mythical figure in the story.
There's a real sense of calm and wisdom that emanates from him.
Mm-hmm.
I found myself really drawn to his words, especially in moments when the boy was, struggling with self-doubt.
Right.
It's as if the horse represents that inner strength we all have.
Yeah.
The ability to overcome challenges and to believe in ourselves.
Yeah. Yeah, I think you're spot on. Each character, in their own way, they offer us a different perspective on life, right? They encourage us to embrace those vulnerabilities, to celebrate, our individuality and to find solace in connection.
The film's visual style also really struck me. It's hand-drawn.
Yeah.
Which gives it this kind of this messy yet beautiful aesthetic that I really love.
Mm-hmm.
Those soft lines and those muted tones, they create this dreamlike quality.
It's both calming and captivating.
And there's this really delicate interplay between the visuals and the music.
Oh, for sure.
And the way they animated the snowy landscapes and the flowing rivers, it just adds to that sense of both isolation and wonder.
Yeah. Reminded me of those breathtaking Studio Ghibli films.
Yes, I see that connection too.
Totally.
And speaking of beauty, We've got to talk about the score.
Oh, the score.
Isabel Waller-Bridge.
Yeah.
It's really something else.
It is.
You know, and I'm drawn to how it underscores the emotional beats of the film.
For sure.
Like for example, the use of piano during the boys' moments of reflection. You know, it just really adds to the emotional depth.
Yeah. And what's brilliant about the music is it never overpowers the dialogue.
Right.
It's like this delicate dance, you know? They create this harmonious balance that truly immerses you in the experience. It's almost as if the music is another character in the film, adding these layers of emotion meaning to each scene.
Oh, I like that.
And let's not forget the sound design. The crunch of the snow, the rustling leaves,
yeah,
you know, like grounding the story in nature, heightening those quiet moments of reflection.
Yeah, and it all comes together to create this really immersive experience where you feel like you're right there with them on their journey. And one thing that really struck me about the film is its pace. It's very deliberate. It allows you to really soak in each conversation, you know, and each moment of reflection.
Yeah. It aligns perfectly with your preference as a learner, right? Values information that respects their time. It's a slow burn, allowing those messages to really sink in. And I think in a world of, you know, fast-paced media, it's actually refreshing to have something that encourages us to slow down and contemplate.
Exactly. You know, so much of what we consume today is just like designed for instant gratification. But this film invites us to pause, to breathe.
Yeah.
You know, to really listen to what these characters have to say.
Yeah. It's a counterpoint to this constant barrage of information that we face daily. It invites us to, you know, to pause, reflect, and maybe even rediscover the beauty of stillness.
Yeah, which is something I think we all could probably benefit from.
For sure.
You know, in today's world. And speaking of the world today, you know, this film was released in 2022, a time when we were still grappling with the aftermath of the pandemic.
It was a time when themes of kindness and resilience and connection held such particular significance.
Yeah.
You know, and I think the film, in a way, it became this balm for the collective soul.
Yeah.
It offered this message of hope, you know, reminding us of the importance of human connection after a period of such isolation.
Yeah. And there's something to be said for how the film seems to have resonated with audiences even beyond those who experienced the pandemic directly, you know. It seems to tap into this deeper human need for connection and belonging.
Absolutely. It speaks to the universal longing, I think, for kindness, for compassion, for understanding that transcends any specific time or circumstance. And yet, despite the film's, you know, almost universal acclaim, it did receive some criticism, mainly centered around its sentimentality and its lack of a strong narrative arc.
It's interesting, isn't it, that in a world that can often feel cynical and harsh, a film that embraces tenderness and vulnerability, you know, it's seen as a negative by some. It begs the question: can a film be too heartwarming?
That's a really valid question, and it speaks to the subjective nature of art.
Right.
What resonates with one person may not resonate with another.
Yeah.
And perhaps for some, the sentimentality felt excessive.
Right.
But it's also worth considering whether that sentimentality is precisely what makes the film so affecting for others.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
It taps into our innate desire for connection, for belonging, you know, reminding us of the power of simple acts of kindness.
That's a good point. You know, it's like the film offers a counter-narrative to the cynicism and negativity that often pervades, you know, our media landscape today. It reminds us that there's still beauty in the world, that kindness still exists, and that human connection is still possible.
And perhaps for some, that message is exactly what they needed to hear.
Yeah.
You know, it's a reminder that even in the darkest of times, there's always hope.
So as we wrap up this first part of our look at the boy, the mole, the fox, and the horse, what really stands out to you so far?
Well, I think the film's ability to evoke such strong emotions through such simple storytelling is remarkable. It's a reminder that sometimes the most profound messages are delivered in the quietest moments.
I completely agree. There's a certain power in simplicity, in the way the film just allows these characters to just be.
Yeah.
You know, to share their thoughts and feelings without judgment. It creates a space for reflection and contemplation that's increasingly rare in today's fast-paced world.
Yeah, it's a reminder that sometimes, you know, the most profound journeys are those that unfold inwardly through self-reflection and those meaningful conversations.
And to your point about those who criticize the film for lacking a traditional narrative arc, it made me wonder, does every story need to have a clear beginning, middle, and end? This film, much like the book, feels more episodic.
It does, and it embraces that episodic structure.
Yeah.
It's a collection of moments, conversations, reflections that taken together form this tapestry of wisdom and insight.
Right.
And instead of relying on this external conflict to drive the narrative, the film focuses on those internal struggles and
triumphs
of its characters.
It's almost like a mosaic of life lessons, right? Each piece beautiful on its own, but even more powerful when seen as part of a larger whole.
Exactly.
Which, thinking about the directorial choices that were made here by Peter Baynton and Charlie Mackesy, I mean, they really captured this feeling in a way that feels both intimate and expansive at the same time. How do they do that?
It's remarkable.
Yeah.
I think what they've done is they've taken Mackesy's signature style, those beautiful, ink and watercolor illustrations, and they've translated them seamlessly into this realm of animation. So the film retains that hand-drawn quality, those delicate lines, the muted tones, and it adds to that dreamlike atmosphere.
It really does feel like the book has come to life. It's breathing, it's moving with such grace and fluidity. It's captivating and heartwarming.
Yeah.
Do you think they sacrificed anything by staying so true to the source material? Or did it actually enhance the film?
I would say it enhanced it.
Yeah.
By staying true to Mackesy's visual style, they created a film that feels both familiar and fresh. Right? And it's a testament to their deep understanding of the source material.
Yeah.
And their ability to translate it into a medium that reaches a wider audience.
Yeah.
And of course, we can't talk about the film's emotional impact without mentioning the performances.
Oh, yeah. The voice cast, I mean, come on.
Phenomenal.
Gabriel Byrne as the horse.
Yeah.
Idris Elba as the fox. I mean, they just bring such depth, such gravitas to their roles.
Their voices have this comforting quality, like a warm blanket on a cold night.
Yes. Perfectly said.
Yeah. I think their voices perfectly embody, the wisdom and the vulnerability of their respective characters. It's as if they're not just, reading lines, but truly inhabiting these roles, breathing life and emotion into every word.
And let's not overlook the young Jude Coward Nicoll as the boy.
Oh, phenomenal!
I mean, he does a phenomenal job of portraying the boy's innocence, his wonder.
Yeah.
He's the emotional anchor of the film, the one that we connect with most easily. And he asks the questions that we all, kind of secretly ponder.
Yeah.
And his interactions with the other characters, they allow us to explore those questions right alongside him.
His performance is so genuine and so heartfelt. I think, it really captures the innocence and wonder of childhood. It's through his eyes that we experience the world of this film with all its beauty and complexity. And he embodies that sense of curiosity, that openness that I think we all long for.
It's a powerful reminder that even though life can be challenging and confusing, that we're never truly alone. There's always someone or something, willing to guide us, to offer a listening ear and to remind us of our own strength, our own resilience.
I think that's right. And I think, it's also a reminder that sometimes the most profound lessons, they're not learned from, those grand pronouncements, but from those quiet conversations, those shared moments of vulnerability and those simple acts of kindness.
Yeah. It's a beautiful message, isn't it?
It is.
That in a world that often feels so loud and chaotic, it's those quiet moments of connection that truly nourish us.
Yeah. It's about finding beauty in the everyday. Appreciating the small things, recognizing the power of human connection, even in its most unexpected forms.
Yeah.
Right. And it's about embracing our imperfections, our flaws, our vulnerabilities, recognizing that they're what make us unique, what make us human.
That's a perfect way to put it. If you could ask the boy, the mole, the fox, or the horse one question, what would it be?
That's a thought-provoking question.
Yeah.
I think I would ask the horse, what is the most important lesson you've learned in your long life?
Oh, that's good.
Right. I mean, his perspective, given his age and experience, would be invaluable. What about you? What would you ask?
That's a really good question. That's tough. I think I'd ask the fox, what's the kindest thing anyone has ever done for you? I feel like his answer might reveal a lot about the nature of true kindness, especially given his initial distrust of the boy.
That's a great question.
What would you ask?
I think I'd ask the boy, what brings you the most joy in life?
Ooh.
I feel like his answer would likely be so simple yet profound, right? Mm-hmm. And reminding us of the beauty and wonder that often gets lost in the complexities of adult life.
Yeah, it's those simple joys, those moments of pure happiness.
Yeah.
That often sustain us,
Absolutely.
Through those difficult times.
Yeah, and those small acts of kindness, those seemingly insignificant moments, they can have a ripple effect.
Right.
Spreading outward, touching the lives of others in ways we may never fully comprehend.
I think that's what makes The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse such a special film. It gently nudges us to remember that, even in a world that can feel chaotic and overwhelming, that there's still beauty to be found, mm-hmm. hope to be embraced, and connections to be made.
It's a film that encourages us to slow down, to savor those simple things, and to reconnect with those essential human values: kindness, compassion, empathy. Which, as we've been discussing, are so vital and yet often overlooked in our, fast-paced, technology-driven world.
Yeah, it really does feel like a warm embrace, like a reminder that we're not alone in our struggles, mm-hmm. and that even in the darkest of times, there's always light to be found. Mm-hmm. Sometimes in the most unexpected places.
And that light often comes from within.
Yeah.
From recognizing our own strength and resilience, from embracing our imperfections and allowing ourselves to be vulnerable and open to connection. Mm-hmm. I think that vulnerability, that willingness to let others see us for who we truly are, is where true connection begins.
Beautifully said. The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. It's not just a film, it's an experience.
It is.
It's a journey of self-discovery that leaves you feeling hopeful, inspired, and maybe even a little bit braver.
Yeah. It's a gentle reminder that the world needs more kindness, more compassion, more understanding, and that we all have the power, right, to make a difference, even in the smallest of ways. A simple smile, a kind word, a listening ear. These seemingly small gestures can have such a profound impact on those around us.
We've talked about the film's artistic merit, its emotional resonance, its thought-provoking themes. Mm-hmm. So to kind of wrap things up here, I think it's safe to say that this film, much like the book it's based on, is a gift.
It is.
A gift of hope, of beauty, and of the enduring power of human connection.
And it's a gift that keeps on giving, long after those credits have rolled.
Yeah.
It stays with you. It invites you to revisit those conversations, to contemplate those questions, and to continue exploring those themes in your own life.
If you're looking for a film that will warm your heart, that will challenge your mind and leave you feeling inspired, I highly recommend seeking out The Boy, the Mole, the Fox, and the Horse. And as you watch it, I encourage you to ask yourself, what would you ask the boy, the mole, the fox, or the horse? Mm-hmm. And how can you bring more kindness, more compassion, and more connection into your own life and the lives of those around you? Until next time, keep diving deep and keep exploring those profound questions that make life so fascinating.